The thunder cracked like a whip across the Sierra de Aracena, shaking our flimsy tent as if the mountains themselves were furious with us. Aurora's hand clamped down on my wrist, her nails digging in just enough to draw a gasp from my lips, her eyes wild in the flicker of our dying flashlight. "Aubrey," she whispered, voice breaking like the storm outside. "I can't pretend anymore. I love you and it's killing me." I froze, the words hanging heavier than the downpour hammering the nylon roof. We'd come to this corner of western Spain chasing escape, two best friends ditching the grind of Seattle for olive groves and forgotten trails. But now, in the claustrophobic glow of that shared tent, everything we'd built felt like it was unraveling thread by thread. Aurora and I had been inseparable since freshman year at the University of Washington, bonded over late-night study sessions in the quad, trading secrets over cheap coffee at the Husky Denver. She was the spark to my steady flame. Bold, with that infectious laugh that could turn a rainy campus day into something magical. I was the planner, the one who mapped out our road trips and kept us from getting lost in the Cascades. We dreamed big together. Her with sketches of graphic novels, me with half-baked ideas for a travel blog. Spain was supposed to be our grandest adventure yet. A 2-week jaunt funded by my savings and her freelance gigs. Fly into Seville, rent a beat-up Fiat, and snake west through Huelva's wild parks, pitching tents under stars unpolluted by city haze. But as we boarded that red-eye from SeaTac, I couldn't shake the weird tension humming between us. Aurora had been quieter than usual, her usual banter replaced by long stares out the plane window. I chalked it up to nerves. Her first time out of the States without family. Her parents back in Tacoma were old-school Filipino immigrants, strict about everything from curfews to career paths, and this trip was her quiet rebellion. Mine? Just burnout from my dead-end marketing job. "Let's get lost on purpose," I'd texted her months ago, and she'd replied with a heart emoji and hell yes. We landed in a haze of jet lag, the Andalusian sun blasting through the airport glass like a promise. Seville was a whirlwind. Tapas in Triana, flamenco echoes in narrow alleys, the Guadalquivir River glinting gold at sunset. Aurora lit up there, her dark curls bouncing as she haggled for ceramics in the Mercado de Triana, her olive skin glowing under the lanterns. "This is it, Aubrey," she'd say, clinking her sangria glass against mine. "No regrets, just us." I'd laugh, feeling that familiar pull. The way she made the world feel bigger, brighter. She was family, the sister I never had, the one person who got my sarcasm without explanation. By day 5 we veered west, the Fiat rattling over potholed roads toward the Sierra de Aracena Natural Park. The landscape shifted from orange groves to cork oak forests, the air thick with the scent of wild thyme and distant sea salt from the Atlantic coast. We parked at a remote trailhead near Cortegana, a medieval village perched on a hill like something out of a fairy tale. Our campsite was a secluded clearing by a stream, ringed by jagged granite boulders and twisted olive trees that whispered in the breeze. "Home sweet home," Aurora declared, slinging her backpack off and unfurling the tent with practiced ease. She'd insisted on this one, a 2-person REI base camp, compact enough for backpacking but cozy for stargazing. That first night, as we roasted chorizo over a fire pit and swapped stories of high school crushes, the stars punched through the velvet sky like diamonds. Aurora leaned back on her elbows, her hoodie zipped against the chill, and pointed out constellations she'd learned from her abuela's folklore. "See that? Orion's belt. My tita said it's a warrior chasing his lost love." Her voice softened, eyes reflecting the firelight. I nodded, sipping from a thermos of vino tinto, feeling the wine warm my chest. "What's your lost love story, Ro?" I teased, using her nickname. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Someday," she murmured, poking the embers. The days blurred into a rhythm of hikes and lazy afternoons. We'd trekked the Sendero del Agua, a path hugging the Rio Matiga, splashing in shallow pools where minnows darted like silver arrows. Aurora was fearless, diving into the current with a whoop, her laughter echoing off the cliffs. I'd follow, more cautious, my freckled arms prickling in the sun. At night we'd cook paella from a kit, saffron rice studded with shrimp from the village market, and talk about everything and nothing. She confessed her fears about turning 25, the pressure to make it, as an illustrator in a city that chewed up dreamers. I vented about my ex Jake, the safe but stale boyfriend who'd bailed 6 months ago, citing different paths. "You deserve fireworks, not flickers," Aurora had said then, squeezing my hand. Her touch lingered a beat too long, but I brushed it off as sisterly comfort. It was on the 7th day, midway through our loop back toward Arisena town, that the cracks started showing. We'd summit a ridge overlooking the park's vast expanse. Rolling hills quilted in green and gold, villages like white dots on a map. Aurora pulled out her sketchpad, charcoal flying across the page as she captured the vista. I wandered a bit, picking wild lavender when my phone buzzed. No signal most days, but here a bar flickered to life. It was a text from our mutual friend Lena back home. Hey, saw Rose Insta gorgeous. By the way, you know she's been crushing hard? Talk to her. Red heart. My stomach twisted. Crushing hard? On who? I glanced at Aurora, her brow furrowed in concentration. Lips pursed in that way that made her look like a Renaissance muse. Nah, Lena was wrong, gossipy as ever. Aurora dated guys sporadically. That barista with the tattoos, the musician from a gig. She was straight as the trails we hiked, or so I'd thought. But the seed planted, and as we descended, I caught her watching me. Soft glances when she thought I wasn't looking. Her hand brushing mine on rocky descents. That evening, as clouds gathered on the horizon like bruises, we set up camp in a dip valley near the Odile River. The air hummed with impending rain, cicadas droning their farewell to summer. We ate in relative silence, canned tuna and bread from the Fiat's cooler, the fire sputtering against the wind. Penny for your thoughts? I asked, trying to lighten the mood. Aurora poked at her plate, her curls frizzing in the humidity. Just remembering why we came here. Her voice was small. To be free, right? No judgments, no hiding. I reached across the log we shared as a bench, bumping her shoulder. Hey, we're free as birds. What's eating you? She met my eyes then, something raw flickering there. Fear? Longing? Before she could answer, fat raindrops splattered the ground, and we scrambled for the tent, laughing as we dove inside, backpacks tumbling in after. The storm hit full force an hour later, wind howling through the oaks like a banshee. Our lantern swung wildly, casting jittery shadows on the tent walls. I huddled in my sleeping bag, the thin fabric no match for the chill seeping in. Aurora was closer, our bags zipped together for warmth, a practical choice we'd joked earlier. But now her proximity felt charged, her breath sinking with mine in the confined space. That's when she grabbed my wrist, the thunder punctuating her confession like divine punctuation. Aubrey, I can't pretend anymore. I love you and it's killing me. The words landed like lightning, scorching through me. Love? Not the platonic kind we'd always shared, but the bone-deep, heart-wrenching sort. My mind reeled. Flashes of her smiles, her touches, the way she'd linger in hugs goodbye. How had I missed it? Or had I chosen not to see? Aurora. What? I stammered, pulling back slightly, but the tense confines left nowhere to go. Rain lashed the fly, a relentless drumbeat underscoring the chaos in my chest. She released my wrist but didn't retreat, her face inches from mine, illuminated in stark relief, cheeks flushed, eyes brimming. I've loved you since that stupid philosophy class, she rushed out, voice trembling. The one where we debated free will over vending machine snacks. You laughed at my dumb cunt joke and it was like, everything clicked. But you were with Jake, and then after I thought maybe, but I was scared. Scared you'd hate me, or worse, pity me. A sob escaped her, muffled by the storm. Coming here, sharing this, it was my chance to say it. Or chicken out forever. I swallowed hard, throat tight. Pity? Hate? The girl who'd been my rock through breakups, job hunts, family drama? I don't know what to say. Honesty clawed at me. I'd never thought of her that way, never questioned my own straight-laced assumptions. But hearing her, seeing her vulnerability laid bare, stirred something unfamiliar. Not revulsion, but a tender ache, like realizing a song you'd loved forever had hidden lyrics. The thunder rolled again, closer, vibrating the ground. Outside, the world was a blur of gray and fury, but inside it was just us, two women who'd crossed an ocean for this moment. Tell me it's okay, she whispered, curling into herself. Tell me we're still us. I hesitated, then pulled her into a hug, her head tucking under my chin like it had 1,000 times before. But this time her heartbeat thrummed against mine, a frantic Morse code. We're us, I murmured into her hair, scented with lavender and rain. Always. It wasn't a full acceptance, not yet, but it was a bridge fragile and new. We lay like that as the storm peaked, her tears soaking my shirt, my fingers tracing absent patterns on her back. Sleep came fitfully, dreams tangled with olive branches and unspoken promises. Morning broke with tentative sun, the valley steaming like a breath held too long. We emerged subdued, breaking camp in quiet tandem, folding the tent, packing the Fiat without our usual chatter. The drive to Aracena was thick with wetness. Aurora fiddled with the radio, landing on a crackly station playing Rosalia, her voice a sultry lament that mirrored our mood. "I'm sorry if I ruined it," she said finally, as we crested a hill overlooking the whitewashed town. "I just couldn't hold it in anymore." "You didn't ruin anything," I replied, gripping the wheel tighter. But doubt gnawed, Lena's text echoed, and now I wondered about the glances, the crushing hard. Was this betrayal of our friendship? Or just the cost of truth? We checked into a posada, a stone inn with creaky floors and views of castle ruins, trading the tent for twin beds that felt miles apart. That night, over ensalada de pulpo in a candlelit courtyard, the dam broke again. "There's more," Aurora admitted, pushing her plate away. Her eyes, shadowed by exhaustion, held mine. "Last year after your breakup, I dated someone. Briefly. A woman from my art co-op." She swallowed. "It was real for me, but she wanted more commitment labels. I bailed because it wasn't you." The octopus salad turned to ash in my mouth. Betrayal? Not quite, but a secret kept. A piece of her hidden while I'd poured out my soul. "Why didn't you tell me?" My voice cracked, hurt sharpening the words. "We share everything." "Because I was ashamed," she confessed, tears welling anew. "Ashamed of wanting what I couldn't have. Of loving my best friend in a way that could shatter us." The courtyard lights flickered, casting her in golden hues, vulnerable as a fledgling. I reached for her hand across the table, the calluses from her pencils rough against my palm. "It hurts, Ro. Not the loving part, the hiding." Honesty surged, unbidden. "But seeing you like this, it makes me question everything. Me. What if I've been blind?" Her breath hitched, hope dawning like the sun over the Sierras. We talked until the stars wheeled overhead, peeling back layers. Her first crush on a girl in high school, suppressed under family expectations. My own buried curiosities dismissed as phases. No grand declarations, just the slow unfurling of possibility. The rest of the trip unfolded like a tentative dance. We hiked the Pena de Arias Montano, a monk's trail etched into cliffs, where falcons wheeled on thermals and the wind carried whispers of ancient hermits. At a viewpoint, Aurora sketched me against the horizon, my profile sharp, eyes distant, handing it over with a shy smile. "You're beautiful when you're thinking," she said. I blushed, tucking it into my journal, the lines blurring what I'd always known. But conflict simmered. On our penultimate day, near the Portuguese border in the Odial wetlands, we argued. I'd found an old photo on her phone. Her with that ex, arms entwined at a pride event in Seattle, a date I'd skipped for work. "You went without me?" I accused, jealousy flaring unexpected. "Hid this life." "It wasn't hiding, it was surviving," she shot back, voice rising over the marsh reeds. "You had Jake, you're normal. I didn't want to drag you into my mess." Birds scattered from the rushes, a flurry of white wings. The betrayal stung deeper now, not just the secret, but the years of parallel lives, inches apart yet worlds away. We drove in silence to our final camp near Minas de Raiadentu, the red earth scarred from ancient mines like wounds on the land. The tent went up mechanically, our shared space now a minefield. Dinner was tense, grilled sardines charred at the edges, until the sunset bled crimson across the sky, pulling us to the fire's edge. "I'm sorry," I said first, the words tumbling out, "for making you feel like you had to hide. For not seeing you really seeing." She looked up, firelight dancing in her eyes. "And I'm sorry for the bomb I dropped. For maybe breaking us." We embraced then, the hug evolving into something softer, her lips brushing my temple in a chaste kiss that sent sparks through me. Not passion, yet, but connection profound and reshaping. The climax came that night, under a canopy of unyielding stars. No storm this time, just the quiet vastness amplifying our whispers. "What now?" Aurora asked, our hands laced on the shared pillow. "Now," I replied, heart pounding with newfound courage, We figure it out. Together. No more tents, no more hiding, just us writing our own story. As dawn painted the mines in hues of rust and rose, we packed for Seville, the Fiat humming with tentative hope. Spain had cracked us open, betrayal forging something stronger. Back home we'd navigate the mess. Conversations with friends, family reckonings. But here in this borrowed land we'd found grace. Love, it turned out, wasn't a confession in the rain, but the choice to stay through the flood. The flight home was a limbo of recycled air and half-hearted movies. Aurora's head on my shoulder. Our fingers intertwined under the armrest like a secret pact. Turbulence jolted us midway over the Atlantic, but I barely flinched. Nothing compared to the emotional gales we'd weathered. "Think we'll make it?" she murmured, voice sleepy with exhaustion. "Like those cork oaks," I whispered back, evoking the resilient trees we'd passed. "Bent but unbroken." She squeezed my hand, a silent vow, and for the first time, the future felt less like a fog and more like a path we could blaze together. Seattle greeted us with its signature drizzle, a far cry from Spain's fierce sun, but home nonetheless. The airport bustle swallowed us, reunions, baggage claims, the grind resuming like an unwelcome alarm. Lena scooped us up in her Prius, all wide grins and "Spill the tea" over pho at a Capitol Hill spot. Aurora and I exchanged glances, her foot nudging mine under the table, a Morse code of "not yet." We crashed at my cramped Belltown apartment first, her duffel dumped in the spare room that doubled as my home office. Jet lag pinned us to the couch that night, binging old episodes of The L Word. Ironic, given our fresh script. "Think we're Jenny or Shane?" she teased, popping kettle corn. I laughed, tossing a kernel at her nose. "Neither. We're Aubrey and Aurora, our own damn thing." But normalcy was a veneer. At work Monday my cubicle felt smaller, emails blurring as I replayed tent confessions. My boss, a no-nonsense millennial named Trish, clocked my distraction during a pitch meeting. "Earth to Aubrey, Spain glow or breakup blues?" I deflected with a smile, but inside the betrayal lingered like a bruise. Aurora's hidden chapter with her ex wasn't malice, but omission stung, a reminder of assumptions I'd clung to. That evening she showed up at my door with takeout from our favorite Thai place. Pad see ew steaming in foil containers, and a sketchpad under her arm. "Truce offering," she said, pecking my cheek. We ate cross-legged on the floor, the city lights twinkling through rain-streaked windows. Midway through she flipped open the pad. A series of panels like her graphic novel dreams come alive. Our trip rendered in ink, hikes stylized as quests, the storm a swirling vortex, us in the tent as silhouettes leaning close. "It's us," she explained, tracing the final frame. Two figures emerging from chaos, hands linked toward a horizon. Not the end, but the beginning. Emotion welled, gratitude, awe, that deep romantic pull I'd only glimpsed in Spain. I kissed her then, soft and exploratory, tasting of basil and possibility. No rush, no heat. Just the humanistic beauty of two souls aligning. Word spread slowly, ripples in our pond. Lena cornered me at a brewery trivia night, her eyes sharp. "So you two?" I nodded, bracing for judgment, but she hooped, pulling us into a group hug. "About damn time. Rose been mooning over you since forever." Aurora blushed, but relief softened her shoulders. Not everyone was so seamless. My mom, over FaceTime from her Spokane bungalow, furrowed her brow at my vague, "Aurora's staying over more." "Everything okay, sweetie? She seems different," I assured her, but the call ended with unease. Her generation's quiet bias is a shadow we couldn't outrun yet. Aurora's family was the real fault line. Her parents, devout Catholics who'd immigrated in the 80s, lived in a tidy Tacoma suburb, their home a shrine to saints and success. Dinner there was a ritual. Lumpia crisp from the fryer, adobo simmering, Bible verses etched into conversation. We'd gone before as friends, me charming Tita with stories of our hikes. This time, 3 weeks post-Spain, the air crackled with subtext. "Salamat for the trip photos, Aubrey," Tito said, passing the rice, his mustache twitching. "You girls look happy." Aurora tensed beside me, her knee bouncing under the table. Tita's eyes lingered on our joined hands, casual but not. "Aurora, you been drawing? Or chasing dreams again?" The question carried barbs, her eldest freelance life a perennial worry. "I've been collaborating," Aurora replied, voice steady. "With Aubrey, actually. On a story. She squeezed my fingers, a lifeline. The meal dragged, small talk veering to church events, Tito's latest sermon on God's design. My stomach nodded, betrayal anew, not from Aurora, but from a world that might reject our truth. After, in the driveway, rain slicking the windshield, Aurora broke. They know, she sobbed, forehead to the wheel. Or suspect. And it'll kill them. I held her, stroking her curls, the car fogging with our breaths. It won't. We'll show them. Love like this, it's human, not heresy. But doubt crept. Her tears mirrored the storm that started it all. Conflict unresolved. The drama escalated mid-autumn, leaves turning gold like Andalusian hills. Aurora landed a gig illustrating a queer YA novel, irony poetic, and threw herself in, deadlines blurring days. I supported, proofreading late nights, but resentment brewed. She'd vanish into her studio, sketches piling like walls between us. You're pulling away, I confronted one evening, over cold pizza in her loft rental near Fremont. She looked up, charcoal-smudged, eyes weary. I'm scared, Aubrey. This us, it's real now. What if I screw it up? Her vulnerability cracked me, but so did the echo of her past secret. Like hiding your ex? Or your feelings? The words slipped, sharp as flint. She recoiled, hurt flashing. That was protection, not sabotage. But fine, maybe I am broken. She stormed to the balcony, Seattle's Space Needle piercing the dusk like an accusation. I followed, the chill biting. We're both scared, I admitted, wrapping arms around her waist. But running? That's the betrayal. We argued under the drizzle, voices rising, then falling to whispers. Climax in the quiet, her turning, cupping my face. I choose you. Every day. The kiss that followed was deeper, emotions raw. A romantic reclamation, humanistic in its imperfection. Winter brought tentative joys. Holiday markets in Pike Place, mulled wine steaming as we browsed ornaments. Aurora's panels evolved into a zine, Tint Confessions, self-published for a small launch at a queer bookstore. Friends packed the space, toasting our origin story. Tita and Tito sent a card, stiff but signed with love. A crack in the door. Yet conflict lingered, a dramatic undercurrent. Jake resurfaced via email. Miss our talks, coffee? Innocuous, but Aurora saw it, jealousy flaring. He's circling, she accused, pace frantic. Like I'm the phase. Betrayal reversed. I hadn't replied, but the contact reopened old wounds. He's nothing, I insisted, deleting the thread. You're everything. The real storm hit in February, snow blanketing the sound like forgiveness. Aurora's zine caught an editor's eye. A pitch for a graphic memoir. Elation surged, but so did pressure. This could be it, she confided, but nights grew sleepless, her sketches frantic. One blizzard night, power out, we huddled by candlelight, echoing our tent. What if success changes us? She voiced the fear. I traced her palm. It won't. We're the constant. Spring thawed the ice. We road-tripped the Olympic Peninsula, pitching a tent by Lake Crescent, full circle, no storms. There, under Douglas firs, she proposed not rings but a pact. Partners in art and life. I accepted, tears mixing with lake mist. Betrayal's shadow faded, replaced by deep affection. Romantic dates at waterfront bistros. Emotional check-ins over coffee. Humanistic growth. Therapy sessions unpacking biases. Volunteer shifts at a youth center for queer kids. By summer, as we planned a return to Spain, Huelva's trails calling, we'd woven a tapestry resilient as those sierras. Love wasn't flawless, but in its drama, emotion, romance, it was profoundly human. And ours. The second Spain trip crystallized everything. A sequel to our origin story, laced with the wisdom of survival. We flew into Seville again, the Giralda's minaret a beacon, but this time, hands openly laced through the airport throng. No hiding, no hesitance. The Fiat was upgraded, a sleek hybrid purring west. Aurora's playlist a mix of indie folk and flamenco fusion, her voice harmonizing softly. Aracena welcomed us with wildflowers rioting along the roads, the Sierra de Aracena in full verdant glory. We bypassed Cortegana for a deeper delve. Campillo, a hamlet tucked in a valley, our campsite a glade by an abandoned finca, stone walls crumbling into ivy. The tent rose effortlessly, our routine honed like a dance. Déjà vu, Aurora quipped, zipping the fly, her smile sun-kissed. Days were a languid dream. Foraging for mushrooms in oak groves, their earthy scent mingling with pine. Picnics of jamon iberico and manchego on checkered blankets. Wine from local cooperatives loosening tongues. We hiked the circular route to Fuentejerdos, a village of slate roofs and bubbling fountains, where Aurora sketched en plein air, capturing my laughter mid-splash in a communal lavadero. "You're my muse," she'd say, and I'd blush, the romance blooming effortless now. But drama shadowed paradise. Midway my phone's spotty signal pinged with a voicemail from Mom. "Aubrey, call home." Tito called, something about Aurora. Dread coiled. We paused on a ridge, wind whipping, and dialed. Tita's voice strained. "She's with a girl. The family, we pray, but it hurts." Aurora's face drained, the betrayal not hers, but the cultural chasm her parents embodied. "They found the zine," she whispered, crumpling against me. "Online. Anonymous tip, probably a cousin. Conflict crested that afternoon, back at camp." She paced the clearing, words tumbling. "I knew it'd break them. Me loving you. It's sin to them." Tears carved tracks down her cheeks, echoing that first storm. I pulled her close, the olive trees silent witnesses. "It's not breaking, it's bending. Like us." But her pain lanced me. The humanistic cost of authenticity. Families fracturing over love's shape. We drove to Huelva that evening, seeking solace in the coastal bustle. Nina Beach, waves crashing like unresolved symphonies. Over churros con chocolate at a chiringuito, she confessed deeper. "I almost didn't come back to you after the argument last winter. Thought you'd be better with someone uncomplicated." Betrayal's ghost, her doubt a knife twist. "Uncomplicated? That's not love," I countered, voice fierce. "It's us, messy and true." The climax unfolded at dusk, as we wandered the Odio Marshes boardwalk, egrets ghostly in the reeds. A sudden squall hit, Spain's mercurial weather mirroring our souls, driving us under a sheltering gazebo. Rain sheeted down, blurring the world, and Aurora turned eyes fierce. "I choose the mess. With you." Her kiss was urgent, emotional torrent. Romantic in its desperation, a dam breaking. I reciprocated, hands framing her face, the storm outside paling to our inner surge. Post-squall clarity settled. We called her parents together, speakerphone crackling over the Atlantic. "We love you," Aurora started, voice steady. "And each other. It's not against God. It's how He made us." Silence stretched, then Tita's sob. "We try to understand. Come home soon." Not acceptance, but a door ajar, humanistic progress, inch by inch. The trip's remainder was healing. Stargazing in the tent, no confessions needed, just presence. Visiting Rio Tinto's oxidized mines, red earth a metaphor for wounds scarring beautifully. We collected jars of wild honey, labels scrawled our story. For friends back home. Return to Seattle was bittersweet. Jet lag sweetened by purpose. Aurora's memoir deal solidified. A 2-book contract, our trip its backbone. I quit marketing for freelance writing, pitching pieces on queer travel, her illustrations accompanying. Lena hosted a launch party at her loft, fairy lights twinkling. Toasts to tent sisters turned soulmates. Family mending progressed. Mom visited, baking lumpia with Tita over Zoom, bridges of food. Tito sent a book, The Velveteen Rabbit, underlined. "Real isn't how you are made, it's a thing that happens." Tears flowed. Betrayal transmuted to grace. Summer solstice, we camped the Cascades, empty Rainier looming paternal. In our tent under perpetual twilight, Aurora traced my freckles. "Never expected this," she murmured. "You us." "Best surprise," I replied, heartful. Love's drama. Conflicts forged, emotions bared, romance kindled had led here. A humanistic haven, profound in its quiet power. Years later, we'd return to Spain annually, the Sierra our altar. Children. Not biological but fostered hearts in our home, teaching resilience. Betrayal's echo? A scar story's spine. In the end we were the hook, the climax, the tender close, 2 women, tent shared, eternally unexpected.